A rule alone by itself doesn't do a whole lot, right? It's just a single evaluation. So I mentioned that we can and or various rules. So what that looks like is, here's a basic example. So you will see that now what we're doing is we're embedding rules within each other, as sub rules essentially. So you'll see that the operator that we're using is the or operator. We have a rules key, and then what's underneath is exactly what we saw earlier as a rule, but in a list. So I have a list of rules, and I have this one, and then I have the second one. So the idea here is that we're saying evaluate the first rule that's under here for evil.exe, and then evaluate the second one. And if either of those is true, then we will report this rule as a match. If we change this to and we said, if both of these rules are a match, then I want to report this as a match. You can see in this specific example, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because we're doing an equality on the same value for two different values. So it's impossible for those two values to be true at the same time. So we used an or in this case. This structure of having an operator or and kind of embedding under it other rules is very, very common, and that's how you will achieve kind of really detailed selection of the types of events that you're interested in. So actions. I mentioned a little bit the actions. Actions are actually very, very straightforward. So if I go and look at our doc, you'll see our documentation sometimes will display DNR rules as JSON. They're conceptually the same as the YAML. So again, it's all the key value stuff. So you can see in this example that we are saying that there's a task action that allows you to send a command to that agent. And we'll get into examples what that looks like and how you can really do them. We have a report that allows you to generate a detection or an alert. And that can either show up, in your dashboard, or you can use that to queue off other systems or other services like we talked about last week. You can add tag, remove tags from an agent with a time to live. So for 30 seconds, I want this tag to be applied. You can add variables. So we'll touch a little bit on We will touch on variables. They are to keep a little bit of context for that agent. You want to keep a specific value from one rule and use that value in a different rule. So you can do that as well. And finally, a service request. So you can actually go and instead of sending a command to the agent, you'll be able to send a request to a specific service. In this case, the example displayed here is the dumper service. So what that means is here I'm requesting a full memory dump of that box, and the memory dump will be kept for 3 days. So those are some of the actions.